My name is Len Luvera, and we're going to be making every pasta. I hope my nonna sees this. I've been making pasta for about 5 years now. I consider myself to be a somewhat intermediate pasta maker. Tagliatelle or pappardelle. I get crazy with a little bit of ravioli or gnocchi. I love making gnocchi. During this time of quarantine, and especially because it's going to be winter soon and we're all going to be stuck inside, I thought it would be fun to learn every kind of pasta there is to make. I'm not pretending to be some expert here. I'm just going to be learning what I can at the same time as you're watching this. I think it's just a fun experiment, and I just want to learn as much as I can. So I'm also keeping a pasta journal. Dorky, I know. But I've written down a few kinds of pastas that I wanted to start off with, and I'm just kind of using it to write some ideas down, some tips, tricks, thoughts that I have along the way. I'm not going to show you what's in here because you'll just have to keep watching to figure it out. So I was thinking about starting with fusilli. I've never made fusilli before. I've only ever known it as an extruded pasta. As I was researching what kind of dough to make for this pasta, everyone has been saying semolina flour is the way to go, semolina water, that's it. But everyone has a different thought about what ratio you should be using. The first one I have is to make like about a pound of pasta, 475 grams of semolina flour to 118 to 142 milliliters of warm water. The other thing I wrote down for one serving is 3.5 ounces of semolina to 3 tablespoons of water. Maybe we'll just try both. That could be fun. Okay, good idea. We're making it up as we go along. Okay, we're gonna start with the single serving ratio here. Putting that right in the middle. And let's make a little well. Let's just do one at a time. Okay, it's starting to feel like sand, which I know is a thing. Let's do our one more. I usually do like an egg or egg yolk kind of thing, so I really don't know what the texture is supposed to be. My instinct says to add more water, but my instinct also says knead and keep kneading. I think we need a tiny bit more water. It needs to be really Play-Doh-y, right? Okay, this feels better. I feel like I need more water. Okay, I've been kneading for about 8 minutes, I think. Just forming it into a ball, and we can let this one rest for about 45 minutes. I just do a little bit of cooking spray to prevent the dough from sticking to the plastic. And then we will wrap it up. Okay, not bad, one down. Okay, so on to dough number 2. The original ratio was 475 grams of semolina flour, and then for water, between 118 and 142 milliliters. I'm gonna cut all of that into a quarter and just do a smaller amount because if I mess it all up, at least I'll have more flour to do it again. Okay, let's go at it. I'll add the rest of the water, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Okay, so there's not enough water here to make a dough. We're gonna measure maybe another 10 milliliters just to say that we did 10. And maybe we don't use it all. We're using it all. Maybe my flour is old, but it's just like not coming into a dough. Okay, so I measured out an additional 11 milliliters of water, so now we're up to 60. It's more like wet sand. I think that's what it's supposed to be. I may have added a little bit too much, but oh God, I don't know. Has anyone seen Pasta Grannies? Oh my God, it's like one of my favorite YouTube channels. These like 90-year-old grandmothers are making homemade pasta and their arms are just, and they've been doing it since they were like 4. I aspire to be a pasta granny in this life and my next life. It's been about 8 minutes, maybe 9. And it's much more of a smooth, homogeneous dough than that first one that I did. Lovely. 45 minutes, resting. See you in a little bit. Fingers crossed. All right, time for your math lesson. So I realized that the 2 recipes I was using had completely different units of measurement, right? One used ounces and tablespoons, the other one used grams and milliliters. I converted both to be grams and milliliters, and here's what I found. The first recipe that I did I used 99.225 grams of flour and ended up using 49.29 milliliters of water. The second recipe, I used 119 grams of flour and ended up using 55 milliliters of water. Basically, the first dough that I made has a little less water than the second dough I made for the amount of flour that I used. They're actually really similar, but still this one, the first dough, has slightly less water, which is why I think it was harder to kind of knead and for it to come together. This one was a little bit easier because of the more water content. All right, so I was looking up some videos on how to roll out fusilli, and I noticed a few things. One, obviously you need some kind of dowel or something. So one is this small, thin wooden dowel. I don't know why I have this. The other is a metal drinking straw. The other thing I learned while I was watching videos is that fusilli is kind of, I think, an umbrella term for a lot of pasta that have a hollow center, right? So there's a different kind of fusilli called bucati, or I think bucatini, which is that long tube pasta that has a small hole running all the way through. The other option is this kind of pasta that rolls around a spindle or a rod to get some kind of corkscrew shape. And I'll try both on the wooden dowel and I'll try both on the metal straw. Okay, first things first, I want to put an apron on and then flour my sheet tray, which is where all the rolled fusilli will go onto when they're done. This is like science fair. All right, let's see how we did with our dough. So reminder, this is number one. This is the first recipe we did with slightly less water. I'll start with this quarter and I'll start using the wooden dowel. First, I'm rolling this out into a thin rope. Then I want to cut this into about 2-inch segments. All right, I'll flour my dowel. So I want to put this at a 90-degree angle, and I want to attach the first little bit, and I'm going to roll this up at a 90-degree angle and try and keep that corkscrew shape. I'm going to flatten it out a little bit and then try and pull it off. So let's see how that goes. I'm going to roll this around. Flatten it out and pull it off. Hey, that is not bad for the first time. I mean, it's a corkscrew. Let's try that again. Here. Attach and roll it up. Okay. Can you see that? That's not bad. Let's try it with the metal one. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit easier. Roll it up. It's harder. I can't even get it off. It's like stuck. Let's try that again. I don't know, it's harder to get off. I wonder why. Let me flour this more. I feel like the flour can't really stick to this. Maybe that's a reason. I don't know. Okay, that is not bad. That I think did what it was supposed to do. If you can see that. Maybe it was just flouring the metal straw that did it. Okay. Okay, with this dough, what I want to try and do is roll it out into a thicker rope. Even just like this is fine. Cut it into little gnocchi-sized pieces. And then I'm going to roll it around the dowel completely and try and get one continuous tube, not like the corkscrew we just did. And I think we can kind of go to town more here. That is not going so well, no. I would be scared to even cook this. It's really thick. Let's try with the wooden dowel. I want to get this more floured here. Maybe elongate the dough a little bit. See if that helps a little bit. Push it in. I'm going to just form it around. How about we do that? I'm going to form the whole thing around. Pinch it closed, maybe. Well, it's definitely homemade. I'm thinking this might be harder to do because this is the dough that has less water. I'm kind of tearing this dough apart. I don't know why. I think it's too dry. No, it's not gonna work. This dough is, maybe I didn't knead it enough, but I think another big part of it is that there is not enough water in this dough. It's still a little dry and it's hard for me to form. So far, I'm thinking that the corkscrew on the wooden dowel is by far the easiest, the prettiest. Okay, my other dough is ready. It just beeped. I gave up on the other dough. It was really making me upset. I hope that this dough is a little bit more hydrated and can be formed easier. Okay, what I can tell from this dough already is that it's even more homogeneous than the first one. There was more cracks and kind of open air in the last dough. This one is way more homogeneous. You can see less holes in there, which means I think it's gonna be wetter. I wanna start rolling this out immediately before it gets dry. I'm only gonna lightly dust this wooden cutting board because I think more flour is just drying it out. I can feel it's better already. It's rolling out so much smoother. I hope it forms way easier. Okay. Let's try and do 6 with the wooden dowel making the corkscrew and see how that goes. I think it's okay. It just came off a little bit. It kind of unraveled a little bit as I was taking it off, but I can still put it back way easier. And I think that's doing what we want it to do. That's not bad. I'm gonna put this in the good pile. Before this piece dries out, I'm gonna try and do one little nugget rolled completely around the dowel to make one continuous hollow tube of bucatini. And that is not bad. It is definitely thicker in the middle, but there's a giant tube in the middle. I don't know. That could be really good. I would probably cook that one and see how that goes. Let's try that one more time. No. This is a good one. Okay, this was gonna be really good. I just couldn't get it off the dowel. So, lesson learned, more flour. I want to try making the bucatini style a few more times with more flour on this dowel. It's not bad. It still has the kind of corkscrew feel because it's not completely closed up on the end. It's still kind of like opening up and fanning out. Would I still eat this? Yes. Is it bucatini? No. Is it fusilli? I don't know. That's okay. Ooh, let's try it on the metal straw. Oh no. Those are rejects. I'm giving up on the metal straw. I think for the last couple bits, I'm gonna go back to wooden dowel, lots of flour on the inside, medium amount of flour on the outside, and doing a short 2-inch corkscrew. I'm way happier with this. It's way more easier than trying to get that long, thin tube off of the dowel. Okay, things that I've learned. First things first, wooden dowel is way easier than the metal one. Maybe it's just the two that I have, but this one, I don't know, it's a little thicker, it's got some ridges going on. It's just not holding the flour on there. The wooden one is way easier. The flour kind of goes into the wood. It's unfinished, just like the cutting board is. It's easier to pull things off. It's easier to roll out. It's a little thinner. Some other things that I noticed. Some flour is good, but not too much, especially because I think my dough needs a little bit more water. Adding more flour just dries it out. Dough hydration is key. Another observation is the corkscrew ones are way faster for me, way easier. They look more traditional. They look more fun, honestly. All right, thanks so much for joining me as I learned to make fusilli, homemade for the first time. Will I be doing it in the future? Absolutely. Will I be making these in the future? Probably not. Next week I'll make another pasta that I've never made before. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.